It's Pyram King, and I'm really excited to bring to you another update for Legends of Barovia. We're going to be covering the Spider Queen adventure in this video. Now, this is one of my more popular adventures for Legends of Barovia. It's tied into Argynvost's Holt. You've got the Spider Queen, this web forest, the new creatures. It's really exciting. We just released the final version of this, beautifully edited by Jesse Winter, the guide and adventure guide for it's available for free in PDF. I'll put a link in the description down below. And for my donating members, it's now available in Foundry for 5th edition as well as system agnostic. So if you are want to enjoy this adventure or Legends of Barovia in your favorite role-playing game system, whether it's Shadowdark, Pathfinder, Shadow of the Demon Lord, Warhammer Fantasy, well, you can. We're going to show you some of the features in here. Really excited to show you those, as well as a beautiful battle map made just for this adventure by legendary map maker DM Andy. So much exciting stuff to show you here. Now, if you're interested in supporting me, getting access to the entire library of adventures and new ones each month, become a member by clicking on that membership link in the description down below. Okay, let's jump into this here. Now, before we get started in here, let's give you a little setup of this side adventure in here. We got a little bit of history in here and a little introduction. So let me give you the quick synopsis. So there was this witch who was fascinated by spiders, creating all kinds of spiders. She became very, very powerful, and her coven killed her. This is hundreds of years ago. Now, Strahd has learned about this fabled, powerful witch, and he has brought her back from the dead and has made her the Spider Queen. And she has been creating all of these monstrous spiders that you find throughout Barovia. Giant spiders, wolf spiders, phase spiders, ghost spiders. They're all created by her. Now, Strahd has charged her with one task. He's like, I've given you life. You are now the undead Spider Queen. You need to do this for me. And that is this. Strahd has a big problem. It's more of a thorn in Strahd's side. And those are the undead knights of Argynvost, the revenants, right? These are the knights of Argynvost who he killed, as well as their lord and master, Lord Argynvost. They've come back as revenants, and they're giving Strahd a really hard time, making it difficult for him to rule Barovia. Well, he's told the Spider Queen, you need to deal with it. And she's come up with the most devious plan you could ever think of. See, when a revenant is struck down, they need to find another body to reanimate and come back. And if they fall too far away from Argynvost, she captures them during that reanimation process, and she turns them into a spider revenant. They're kind of like a revenant minion zombie with some spider abilities. They're covered in spider webs, but they're under her control. And then she sends these spider revenants to attack Argynvost's Holt. And so that's going on the side of Argynvost's Holt. There's these spider revenants attacking. And if you want to learn more about that, you should watch that video and pick up that free guide as well. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. Now, she also knows this is a war of attrition, meaning the more revenants that she captures and turns into her spider revenant minions, the fewer revenants there are. And over time, there will be no revenants left. So she is slowly winning this war. Now, she doesn't care how long it takes. They're undead. She is undead. It could take 50 years. It could take 100 years. She doesn't care. She's slowly winning this war. Now, when the player characters go to Argynvost's Holt, they will meet a revenant knight named Sir Fortis. And he's concerned about this. And he says to the party, go find the Spider Queen. She lives there in the forest in these ruins. Kill her. Bring me her head, and I will grant you a reward. I will help you in whatever you need. And part of that's the Suffering Quest. You can read more about that in the Argynvost's Holt guide. So that's what leads the players here. They're coming here to find the Spider Queen in these old ruins. They're going to kill her, bring back her head, and in this spider revenant menace that has been plaguing Argynvost's Holt, and perhaps help in the menace of these spiders that are roaming all over Barovia. These phase spiders, giant spiders, ghost spiders. We've got some new creatures here. Really, really excited to show this to you as well. So that sets it up. So let's jump into this here. We're going to take a look at it, and we have two battle maps here. The first battle map here is the Web Forest. This is made by DM Andy, and the player characters are going to start at the bottom of this forest, okay, down here, and the goal is to move to the top of the forest. Now, the whole purpose for this as a dungeon master or a game master is this is to wear down the party. And when the party gets to the edge of the web forest, I would also describe, you see in the distance some hills and some ruined towers covered in some webs out in the distance. But to get there, you have to go through this web forest. So going through the web forest is really not about a combat encounter from the DM's perspective. It's about wearing down and using up those party resources, whether they're spell slots or healing potions or whatever those resources are. You're going to wear them down before they get to the Spider Queen's lair. Now, a smart party is going to try to minimize combat and try to get through this as quick as possible. Some parties that like to kill everything, they're going to be using up a lot of resources here. So let's go through the combat tactics here that I've drawn up for this. We've got one new creature as well. So as the party's moving through this forest here, you can see here they are moving through the forest. I'm going to show you something cool, by the way, on DM Andy's map in a second. These spiders are going to be coming out, and I would bring these spiders both from the sides and from the top. So the players are going up through the middle, and these spiders are coming out through the spider forest to attack the players. Now, depending on your party size, and by the way, this adventure, this side quest, I would say this is really a level 6 to level 7 adventure, kind of mid-high level adventure. This can be, if it goes wrong, ATPK. I would equate this adventure very similar to the Bone Grinder. So unless the players are smart, storing their resources, this could turn into, if they're not careful, a TPK. So depending on your party's level and your party size, you want to raise or lower the amount of spiders that they're going to be dealing with. So the first suggestion is 2 to 3 giant spiders. Now the way I would run the giant spiders, these are kind of like the big tanks. They're going to go in there, big physical combatants. They're going to be the web entanglers, really kind of face off against the party. Then you have your phase spiders. These are 1 or 2 of these. They're going to come in, they're going to be hit and run, phase in, attack, phase out, right? So you got your tanks, you got your hit and run attackers with the phase spiders, and then you're dealing with your swarms. I would have 3 to 4 swarms. Now, the swarms aren't really a problem in and of themselves. They're pretty low level, pretty easy to deal with. The problem with spider swarms is they're using up your action economy, wearing you down, and you mix those spider swarms in with a couple giant spiders or a phase spider, you're going to have a problem with your party figuring out what to do. Now, you have some trees and webs in here. Think about how to incorporate that into this combat encounter. Difficult terrain, webs. Also, you have spiders maybe up in trees. You have a lot of different things on the battlefield to integrate into this combat encounter. Finally, we have a new creature, which is kind of the mini boss on this level, would be a giant spider. You can run, ghost spider. You can run 1 or 2 of these here. Let's talk about the ghost spider. I did include the stat block in here as well. So if you're running system agnostic, you can look at this stat block, create your own version of a ghost spider in here. Let's take a closer look at it. It has some of the similar stats that you're going to find to a phase spider as far as hit points and as far as its stats. However, a couple of things to take special notice of here. It has a spectral web it can only cast once per day. It's like a normal web, but it's invisible. So how does that tangle up, or how does your party deal with this invisible spectral web? It also has a unique feature on its bite. A character that's bitten by the ghost spider is going to have to make a DC 12 Constitution save. If they fail, they're going to get chill. The chill effect gives them disadvantage on their attack rolls and ability checks until their next turn. So it's a short-term condition that is called chill, that all of a sudden they like get this cold chill by being bit by the ghost spider, and they're going to be at disadvantage again on their attack rolls, ability checks. It also has some of those phasing, kind of phasing in out as a ghost. That's a recharge on a 5 and a 6. It also has this really cool reaction. If it gets attacked, it can fade away, right? It's fade away on the material plane, but it gets a bonus action coming in and ambushing back into the material plane. And if it does that, it gets a bonus attack with a bite action. So it only has 1 attack, but coming out of that material plane into the material plane with that bonus bite attack. So this spider is not going to be super deadly, but it can hamper and hinder your party as they're trying to get through this map. So remember that this is not going to be kind of a battle to the death on here. I got links to D&D Beyond. We also have all of these spiders, by the way, in here. If you're running in here, you got all their stat blocks and features and all that in here as well for 5th edition. Remember, getting through here is really about getting to the other side and managing your resources. Because no doubt your party's going to be able to defeat all of these if they stay here. but really it's about getting to the other side and maintaining its maximum resources, because you're trying to save up your health, your energy, your resources for that final boss fight against the Spider Queen. And I want to show you a couple of things we did really cool with the map here with Diamandi's map. And if you look closely, I thought this would be really cool to incorporate this in Foundry, where we have a second layer on the map. You can't see it, but if you go underneath the trees, you can see the tree limbs are above the character. That's also with the spider webs here. So what's really nice about this, that you can incorporate into your game, if we grab one of these enemy tokens, we can make sure that they're visible, but we can partially obscure them by kind of hiding them in the trees. The characters can't really see what it is for sure, even if they get close, because it might be hidden in the tree. And we get up to the big trees, like we got a big spider over here. What is this? The characters can't really see it. They know something's there. They can see some movement. This allows you to also mechanically within Foundry show that there's something there, rather than just perception. You notice something in the tree, and the players go, I don't know what that is. There is something over there. It's not until it comes out from underneath the tree that you see that, oh my gosh, that's a giant spider. So this second layer also creates this kind of ability for cover. I would also think about these webs here as perhaps a difficult terrain, how to incorporate these trees as well as these webs into your combat encounter here in the web forest. We also have 2 Theater of the Mind maps. As you know, I love Theater of the Mind maps. That's if you want to run a combat encounter or a scene without a battle map. You can just run one of these web forest maps here. We have the creatures in here. You can bring them in. You can run a combat encounter in here, and all you need to do is just drag and drop your character tokens down here, and they can see this from a perspective. You have this kind of common frame of reference, this common picture, and you can actually run combat in here. I've run in some situations where it doesn't need to be too tactical running it in Theater of the Mind. We have 2 Theater of the Mind web forests. We have this one. We also have this one here. So as the players are weaving through the forest, you can jump in and out of that battle map, also those Theater of the Mind maps. Now let's get to this next map, which I really love. Diamandi did. He's awesome. Is this spider layer map. Now this is when you get to the web forest, you've got this kind of these hills that are coming up kind of out of the, you remember you're at the edge of the Berez swamp. You're southwest from Argynvost, edge of the Berez swamp. You've got these hills, and on the top of these hills, you've got these old ruined watchtowers here. There's a whole, thing I've written up here. It shows you them and everything. The players are going to start in the lower right-hand corner of this map, or southeastern corner right down here. And there's a couple things on this map that I'd like to show you. The first thing is I didn't want to put a wall in here. It can be a little difficult and frustrating. I got some feedback from some playtesters, but they wanted something on here to mark where if a player goes over the edge, they would have to make a dex save. So you're going to see this red line. Now this red line is there for the players to know that they're on top of these hills, and it drops down 10 feet across these bridges and the base of these hills. So if the player goes over this red line, what I would do is, hey, you need to make a dexterity save, maybe a DC 12. If you fail that dex save, you fall down and you suffer 1d6 bludgeoning damage. Now, a couple things to think about. How is a player going to get back up? They're going to have to scurry back up. Does falling create a noise and awaken something else that might come and attack the party? So look at this as a terrain feature and how you want to manage that. I actually drew these red lines, which again are visible for the characters around the square, so they know if they go here, they're getting close to the edge. Again, we have that featured layer map here, so the characters can also go under the webbing here. You can see the characters going underneath the spider webs. I really think that's really cool as well. Now, the next thing we have up here is we have these Ettercaps. These Ettercaps are really cool creatures from D&D. We don't see them often enough, and we have 2 of them here. So we have one on each hilltop. And so we have these hilltops. I'll just show you. We have Theater of the Mind maps for both of these. We have a hilltop here with these old ruins on it, and we've got another hilltop right here with these ruins on it. And what this Ettercap is think of them as like the baby spider shepherd, right? They take care of the spider eggs. They're like the spider shepherd. They're the mommy. They're not the mom spider, but they're like the spider caretaker, spider egg caretaker. So they're kind of watching over the brood of these baby spider eggs ready to hatch. And the way I would run these myself, these Ettercaps, is they're not going to just openly start attacking the players unless the players start screwing with or messing with or threatening the spider eggs. See all these white dots down here? These are spider eggs. So the players get up here and they pass the spider eggs. They might see this Ettercap over here just kind of walking around, maybe going over the spiders, top of the spiders, looking at them, and kind of looks at them. The way I imagine that Ettercap's behavior is sort of like a mother bear, right? If you ever go in the forest and there's some cubs with the mother bear is not going to attack you if you stay at a distance and don't screw with the cubs. She's going to stay with those cubs, make sure those cubs are protected. You get near those cubs and she sees you as a threat, she's coming at you. That's how I'd run these Ettercaps. So they can see the players over here. They're not going to go rush the players, but if the players get near these spider eggs, and the Ettercap's going to kind of freak out, and then you're going to go into combat. Now, the Ettercap, 44 hit points, AC 13, not too bad. Feature here has a bite and claw attack, multiple attacks on here. Has some features similar to a spider here, and we've got 2 of them, 1 on each hilltop. Now let's talk about the swarm of spiders and how this works. So these are invisible, and if the players get up near these eggs, if the players mess with the eggs, they're going to hatch. These baby spiders are going to come out, jump all over the character. I would definitely have the baby spiders gain advantage with surprise and go first in initiative, but they're going to attack the character. If the characters ignore the spider eggs, if they get close to them, I would probably secretly roll a dice to determine if they've gotten too close, or maybe they're making too much noise, or maybe they disturb the nest in a way that the spider eggs will jump out and attack. Whatever happens as the players are going across these hilltops to eventually the final encounter with the Spider Queen, I would certainly have, perhaps on this bridge, even the cautious players going over this final bridge here. You can see right here, there's some spider eggs here, or this one here. At least once or twice, these spider eggs are going to hatch. Baby spiders are going to jump on them, and then that Ettercap is going to come into play. Now, I want to talk a little bit about spider swarms and baby spiders. These spider swarms, and this is something this is my suggestion. When you're running combat and you have these baby spiders, these aren't huge, giant spiders. These aren't the giant phase spiders, the ghost spiders. These are small spiders, and there's a swarm of them. So when they jump on top of a player, they start attacking the player. They're doing like 44 worth of bites. It's not serious damage. It's just kind of whittling away, piercing damage. If another player wants to try to attack these and they're on your other character, they're not going to attack them with their sword. They're not going to start whacking that player with their sword. They're certainly not going to be firing arrows. I would say they're immune to range attack. You're not going to be firing arrows at a swarm of baby spiders. You're lucky if you even get one. If you do fire an arrow at them, you're going to only hit one with that arrow. What I would do is I would explain to your players, how are you dealing with these baby spiders? Your player's covered with them. So this is really creative combat. One of your player characters, maybe the paladin or fighter or somebody with a sword, says, I'm going to go scrape them off. And I go, okay, roll a dexterity check, DC 12, for instance, or DC 10. Every point above DC 10 is going to kill one of those baby spiders. You've killed, like, you swiped off, like, let's say if they roll 14. Well, you swiped off 4 of those baby spiders into the ground. They're still whatever. So I would use the hit points here, 22, based on the number of spiders. There's 22 spiders. So I'm going to use my sword and have them run a dexterity check, describe what they're doing in this, or maybe they have a staff or whatever they're doing, but just don't make it a bunch of attack rolls. That just gets boring here, right? So this is one of those creative combats that characters need to figure out how they're doing it. And you've got a couple of things going on here. You're gonna draw the attention of the Ettercap that's gonna come over, and you've got terrain features. You've got a tree here, there's a wall here you can't see past, there's a cliff over here. If you back up too far, as you get close to the cliff, there's some spider webs here. If they're in their spider webs, the character's gonna be, not only in difficult terrain, maybe they're disadvantaged, maybe they get stuck in the spider web. Think about how to use these terrain features. Think about creative combat solutions with these baby spiders, how to role play these Ettercaps when they do engage, when they don't engage into combat. Make this a really interesting and fun encounter for your players. We also have, as we did before, 2 Theater of the Mind maps to roll that Ettercap baby spider scenario. So if you want to do it in Theater of the Mind, we've got this one here, and we also have this ruin here as well. Now let's go to the final confrontation up here at the top. And that's when you get across this final bridge. And we got something really cool going on here. Of course, we've got the Spider Queen here, and I want to bring this up on here for us to cover this. So when we get to the Spider Queen encounter, and I want to talk about this here in more detail. We do have a Theater of the Mind map that I want to show you as well. Let's take a look at her really quick. Here's the Spider Queen. This Spider Queen is not going to be a straight up fight combat encounter. She's not a fighter. She can be very deadly. What she is trying to do is exactly what she's doing to the Revenants. She is trying to turn the party into her minions, to turn the party into Spider Revenants. So she is going to be using tactics to try to hinder, capture, and put the party to sleep, or put them into some type of slumber, or capture them in her web so she can turn them into Spider Revenants. So let's talk a little bit about her tactics here. Okay, she's going to be a distance combatant. She does have a spells here. So she has stuff like Poison Spray, Spider Infestation, Expeditious Retreat, Fog Cloud, Sleep, Misty Step, Web, Blindness, Suggestion, Whole Person, Fear, Mirror Image, Greater Invisibility, Confusion, and Hallucinatory Terrain. When you look at those lists of spells, you can tell right away what she wants to do. She wants to capture you intact quickly. She's going to try to stop you, hold you down. Now, before you get across this last bridge, she's going to cast Hallucinatory Terrain near her lair, creating this illusion of a safe haven. It's going to look like ruins. You're not going to see all these spider webs there. And so when the players walk into it, they're going to be caught in some of the webs. That's what she's attempting to do, is capturing them in the webs. Now, she has some lair actions as well as legendary actions. Let's look at her stat block really quick. I have it both in here. Let me look at it in this version here so I can blow this up. So she has some legendary actions. She has a bonus action too. She has a shadow stealth. So as a bonus action, she can take the hide action as long as she's in dim light or darkness. This area, by the way, is always dim light and darkness unless the players cast light. Now, the legendary actions, she can reform part of her web that's destroyed. So if the players are destroying her web, she can reform part of the web. Remember, she's going to be hiding this massive web we can see here on the screen. Let's take a quick look at that again. She's going to hide this massive web. Let's hide her here. Right here, this big web that you see on the screen, she's hiding that with hallucinatory terrain. So she's going to try to get this. Now, if the players move into this, and by the way, let me just show you a player character. Again, 2 elevation maps. If the players get in there, you can see they're under the web here. They're going to get stuck in this web. If the players try to cut this web, she's going to take a layer action to try to reform it. Poisonous Retaliation. 2 actions. She can use her claw or bite action if available. Now, her bite action is on a recharge. It does 4d6 poison plus 2d8 plus 4 piercing and DC 16 constitution. Otherwise, the player's going to get poisoned. That's on a recharge. Her claw attack is not. So she can do a legendary action as an extra attack on top of her spells. She can also use all her legendary actions and summon 1d4 worth of ghost spiders. Now, they'll arrive coming across that bridge at the beginning of the next round. So she uses that. At the beginning of the next round, you're going to have 1d4 worth of those ghost spiders coming, and you know how those can be a hassle as well. She has 2 layer actions. Venomous Mist, which is 20-foot radius within her lair, becomes heavily obscured. Start of the turn, entering it, they must make a Constitution save or become poisoned. And Obscuring Web, she can obscure parts of her web. Those are her layer actions. So again, she's going to try to incapacitate those players. That's what her role is, because she, remember, that's what she's been doing for, well, decades, is creating these spider revenants. Now, there's another thing that we need to talk about here, and that is the spider revenants. She's got at least 4, and depending on the number of your players and the level of your players, you might want to put more. I would say 4 to 8. I think 4 is a really good starting point, and you're going to see them here. We have them here on the screen. Is we have these tiles. Let's take a close look. So you have, look at these. These are pretty nasty looking. You got one right there. And these are some spider revenants about to hatch out of their cocoons. There's another one right here. Check this guy out. That's really nasty looking. Ugh. As they say in Portuguese, noisia. Really disgusting. Now, the way this works with monk active tile triggers, at the start, and let me show you here, at the start of the round, it's right under under spider revenants. At the start of the second round, you're going to roll a 1d20. On a 17 to 20, a spider revenant is going to emerge from the cocoon and join into the fray. Now, this means that it doesn't mean it's going to happen every round. It means there's a chance. In this case, a 20% chance. Now, what you need to do as a dungeon master or game master is do two things. And this is based on how difficult you want to make this encounter, based on your party level, the number in your party, and your party's experience. You can do one of two things or both. You can increase or decrease the number of cocoons with spider revenants. Number two, you can increase or decrease the probability of them coming out. So if you want to make this really deadly, make it 50% chance at the start of each round that a spider revenant's coming out. If you want to make it less deadly, make it only 10%. So you can adjust both of these factors based on how deadly you want this encounter to be. Now, when you do succeed and a spider revenant comes out, this is really cool. You ready for this? You're going to click on one of these buttons over here, and over one of these tiles, spider revenant appears. Ready? Here we go. Let's see which one he comes out. Dude, that's pretty creepy. You can hear that huge loud noise. You can just see that spider revenant coming out, and there he is right there. He's going to join into that attack. He appears on the screen. This guy is just, look at that. That thing is nasty looking, right? And so you're going to get in a nasty fight. These things are pretty tough. Let me show you the stat block really quickly on these. If you haven't watched Argynvost Holt, these revenants are mean. 100 hit points on these puppies, right? Claw attack, multi-attack, claw bite. They also have web on a recharge. They have turn resistance and regeneration. Remember, they're undead, so they're regenerating. It's kind of a revenant with some spider features to it. Really nasty to deal with, pretty hard. Only AC 14, but with 100 hit points, you're gonna need to do some pounding on these guys to do that. And if you've got those ghost spiders coming with a couple spider revenants in her, this could get nasty quickly. Now, let's talk about what happens if she captures the players. So if she captures all the players, what's going to happen is the players are going to be wrapped up in these cocoons. And what happens during this cocoon period is players are going to wake within the cocoon. They're going to be fully restrained. Right? Now, the first thing they're going to do is must pass a Constitution DC save. And that Constitution DC is going to escalate every single round. It's going to start at DC 10. If you fail, you're going to suffer, first time for round one, it's DC 10. You're going to suffer 1d4 poison damage, and you're going to lose 1 strength. The second thing you're going to do on your turn, so you're going to make the Constitution save, and what that's representing is coursing through your veins is her venom, which is turning you into a revenant. So you're slowly dying and turning into a revenant. And it's going to take you 6 rounds to do so. So you're going to run the Constitution save first. DC 10, succeed it. You're not going to be poisoned. You're not going to lose your strength. And then you must make a strength check to see if you can break out. DC 18 strength check if you can break out. Okay? Okay, let's say you fail to break out. You go through your round, next round. DC 12. Fail to DC 12. You do your poison damage. 1d6 worth of poison damage. You're going to lose another point of strength. You make your strength check. So a couple things are happening. The DC checks are going to get harder. You're going to suffer more poison damage, and you're going to start losing strength. You're going to get weaker and weaker and weaker and harder to break out. Now, if one of the players breaks out, they can come over to you and on your strength check, give you advantage, or on their turn, try to rip you out of the cocoon. So really, you're going to really need one of those party members to get out. Now, what happens? What's going on with the Spider Queen? Well, she's resting, right? She's in this kind of meditative state. She's regenerating her magic abilities, her physical strength right there. So, like a normal spider who kind of like, they've attacked, they've wrapped up their prey in cocoon, they're going to go off into their corner and they're going to just rest. They've gone through a difficult battle, they're meditative state. However, she's got her fingers on the web. And she's going to do is she's going to make a perception check, and the DC of her perception check, if a player escapes, is the player's dexterity score. So if the player has a dexterity score of 17, she needs to make a perception check of 17. If she succeeds that, she's going to notice that player has woken up, and then you can decide how you want to run a combat encounter again. Now remember, she's going to probably be fairly diminished and weakened at this point because, well, she's just gone through combat. So you want to think about how you want to run that. So that's how she awakes. So the idea here is the player's going to try to get out of here, get themselves out as quickly as possible. Now that strength, that temporary strength loss, which could be up to 5 or 6 strength, that after a long rest, you're going to get all that strength back. That's just a temporary loss from that poisoning effect that you've taken. Now, what happens if you haven't broken out of that cocoon after the 6th round? You're dead. You've been turned into a spider revenant. So if you're not able to get out of that cocoon, and you're taking that poison damage, whether you're succeeding those constitutions checks or not, you're just slowly turning into a revenant. And then at the end of the 6th round, if you haven't gotten out and you're still in that cocoon, you have become a spider revenant. So this is kind of a time issue. You've got that scaling DC, really exciting. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from this. With the spider revenants, everything, we added a lot of additional features, Monk's active tile triggers, brand new beautiful map from DM Andy. I'm really excited about this. I'm so excited to be running this one again. By the way, we do have a Theater of the Mind map here. There she is in the Theater of the Mind map. There's her giant web. And you can run those spider revenants right from here too by just clicking on one of these buttons and it comes out. Yeah. Really, really cool. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in the free adventure guide, there's a link in the description down below. Again, the Foundry modules and the entire Foundry module adventure library is available to donating members. If you want to become a donating member, click on that membership link down below. Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe so you can be alerted to that. I've just started launching my next big project, Legends of Saltmarsh. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, may all your roles be critically successful. And special thanks to my legendary members.